Call to order our planning commission meeting for Monday, August 5th. First on the agenda is the minutes from our July 15th meeting. Any questions or comments about that meeting?
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 15th, 2019 planning board meeting.
And I second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. In new business, City has received a variance application from Richard J. Mueller and Kathleen A. Mueller, owners of the property in question located at 321 Lake Avenue, to allow for the expansion of a non-conforming use, specifically increase the height and area of a garage structure in an area zoned R1, where there is no primary single or two-family residence. The Muellers propose to expand the existing non-conforming use on the above property, which would involve taking an existing garage, which is 24 feet wide and 22 feet deep, on a concrete slab with 7-foot sidewalls, and move the structure to allow the removal of the existing concrete slab, replace the concrete slab with a new reinforced floating slab, add one course of block at the base of the sidewalls, adding 16 inches in height to the structure, and add an 8-foot addition to the south end of the garage, making the dimensions of the expanded structure 24 feet by 30 feet. As a result, the applicants seek a variance from the city's zoning ordinance, which provides in relevant part at City Code Chapter 36, Section 36.6, that a non-conforming use shall not be enlarged to a greater height nor extended to occupy a greater area of land. The existing garage structure is a non-conforming use under the regulations existing for R1, single and two-family zoning areas, City Code Chapter 36, Section 36 through 42, which provides that no structure for an accessory use, such as a garage, shall be permitted to be constructed in advance of the construction of a primary permitted use, i.e. a single or two-family residence. The proposed changes will meet all setbacks, height, and lot coverage regulations. That is a pretty descriptive proposal that they have, so I don't know if anybody's got questions, or if Rich, if you want to add anything to that at all?
No, that pretty much covers it.
That did cover a lot of it.
Yeah.
Just for the planning board's information, I have given you the ordinances in front of you tonight, and that it's starred where the ordinance starts there. And then I did give you pictures of Richard's property, the full view of it, and then close-up of the shed. And then across the street from him, the residence has a test well. And then one block over, they also have test wells. And originally, about approximately 15 years ago, there was a house with the garage, and that house burned down. So that's a little history.
So it used to be a conforming structure until the house burned down.
Yes.
And so, just so I understand, do you live in this area or you just own this property?
I just own that property, we don't live there.
Do you live in town?
Yes, 523 Columbus Avenue by the city park there.
Rich, so you want to put this addition on, and then you're going to, I would assume you're going to re-side everything and re-shingle everything at the same time?
Yeah.
And that addition would go on to the south side then?
That's correct.
Okay. So the peak would remain the same all the way through?
Correct.
And then just add on to the south at 8 feet?
Right, and then right now it's sitting down in the dirt, so we wanted to lift the slab up 6 inches and put, of course, a block around the outside, so the building isn't sitting in the dirt. You know, the grass on the outside goes against it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were not to get this granted, you would basically, you wouldn't do anything to this building?
Probably not, it's only 22 feet deep, I can't get my boat in there. I can get it in there if I put it sideways and fold the hitch, and we need it so you can walk around the boat to make it usable.
Okay.
I understand your ruling where you don't want to build a garage on a vacant lot, but here we have a garage already. If we add 8 feet on the south side, it wouldn't ever inhibit anybody from building a house on that lot. I mean, the way that it's positioned now in the back of the lot, and if we add 8 feet to the south, you can still build a house in front of it. In 10 years or 15, when I move on and the lot gets sold, somebody can still put a house in there. You didn't mention it, it has 3 of those test wells on it, on the lot.
Right.
Which have nothing to do with nothing to do with it. Anyway.
Richard, were you aware of the ordinance when you purchased the property?
Yes, I think it was.
And how do you access the property right now? Because there's no curb cut.
Well, there's a curb cut in the driveway.
Is that a shared driveway?
No, it looks like it's a shared driveway, but that driveway is all on our property. The property line runs right next to that neighbor's house.
Oh, it is, okay.
It's only about 3 feet from the neighbor's house.
Okay.
So that driveway looks like, they use it, looks like it belongs to them, but that's our driveway and our curb cut.
Okay.
And that's the driveway to the south?
On the south edge of our property.
And there's still a curb cut there?
There is.
There's. I'm glad that you can understand the logic of why you can't build a garage on an empty lot, because I don't. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a no-brainer. You're gonna improve your property, and I have no other questions. Makes good sense to me.
Other than this building sitting in the dirt, is it structurally sound?
Yeah, I poked that. We may have to replace the bottom plate, but everything else seems pretty structurally sound.
2x4, 16 on center or 24 on center?
They're 24 in center.
Okay. Hand frame rafters, it looks like?
Yes. It's not real pretty in there, but we can fix it up and make it structurally, good.
Yeah, there's a lot of garages just like it standing around town yet.
Yeah, and I considered tearing it down, but I didn't know if I would get a variance to do that. And there's really enough good stuff there that I don't need to tear it down. I think it'll be fine if they put a new plates on the bottom and new rafters, reinforce the rafters on top. And, yeah.
Anybody got questions on this, or? Yeah, as far as Bill's comment about building a shed on your property, that the ordinance is clear on that. I mean, that is what we have as a rule in town, and I understand that. And I think the thinking behind that is that we don't want a bunch of storage sheds popping up in the residential area, which that's part of it. This one's kind of a different case where this used to be a conforming building when the house was there before the fire. So it was a conforming structure before, and I think if you were going to come in here and ask if you could tear it down and build a new shed, we would probably say no, is my guess, because then you'd be back to a bare lot. But where you're trying to, I mean, you're using what is there now and adding something on to it that's still going to be, I mean, you're meeting all the setbacks and everything. So I think you're improving your property, and as far as, I mean, as far as my vote goes, I don't think we would want to tell you you shouldn't be able to do that, so. But that's just my thoughts on it, so.
Yeah, I've talked to my neighbors, not all of them. Melvin Schaefer to the east and Noonan to the south, and both of them said they were behind me. They would like me to clean up the place and improve it. You know, I haven't talked to the neighbor on the north that's a rented house. So.
Are you looking for a motion, or do you have a
Yeah,
worksheet?
we've got a worksheet to do. Is there any more questions that anybody has before we start on that, or? Any words of wisdom from our city attorney?
I mean, other than, like, just to touch on what you said, I mean, it is a unique situation that it used to be conforming. I mean, when there was a house there, you know, this wouldn't be an issue. Now it's, you know, it became a non-conforming use, and technically the ordinance does say when there is a non-conforming use, you can't expand it, whether, you know, you can't make it bigger in land area, you can't make it taller. Here, obviously, you're using the whole new structure, you're raising it a little bit, it doesn't seem, I mean, technically it is getting taller. Well, technically speaking, either way, even raising that a little bit or expanding it to 8 feet is expanding and needs a variance, which, as you see in this worksheet here, you have to just decide whether or not it's an undue hardship. And the statutory language of undue hardship is just whether or not the property can be put to a reasonable use under the current zoning ordinance. And that's where you guys need to decide whether or not you think it's an undue hardship if you deny it.
Any questions with that comment? All right, I'll read through our worksheet as is typical. Whereas the planning board believes that this strict enforcement of the zoning ordinance in this instance would impose an undue hardship. Agreed?
Agreed.
Are we all in agreement with that?
Undue hardship.
At 8?
Yeah.
I guess I struggle to define not being able to park a boat as an undue hardship, but that being said, I agree with the whole plan as a whole. I think we're going to improve the value of the property by making this garage look better. Do we define undue hardship?
Like we've had a couple instances where not the wording in some of these worksheets is not what we would typically use, I guess, for describing it, but that's what's given to us, so that's what we go with. And where it, like you're stating, is it a hardship? For his intended use, I guess it is. If he's trying to use it to park a boat in, but that's, you know, is that what we're looking at, or are we looking at it as a whole? That's these worksheets are always, yeah. There's got to be a gray area there, or we wouldn't get through them all.
I'm a yes on the project as a whole, so we can call this an undue hardship if that's what we've got to do.
Okay. Yeah, because technically we have to answer them all as a yes to pass this, correct, Renee?
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Agreed.
So we're agreed?
Agreed.
Whereas the planning board believes that the landowner's difficulties requiring a variance for this property is due to circumstances unique to the property and not caused by the landowner. Agreed?
Agreed.
Whereas the planning board finds that the variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. Agreed?
Agreed.
Whereas the planning board finds that the variance, if granted, will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance and the comprehensive plan. Agreed?
Agreed.
Therefore, the planning board recommends that the request for variance be granted. Agreed?
Agreed.
All right. then we just need a motion.
I would make a motion to approve the report and recommendation of planning board on application for variance.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
So your next step will be to come, the city council will set the public hearing date on August 12th for September 9th. So that's the next one, if you want to come on, August 12th to the city council, they'll be setting that public hearing for September.
Okay, they'll set it then, and I should be at that meeting, or should I come to the September 9th one?
You definitely need to be at the September 9th one.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It's up to you if you want to come to the 12th.
Okay,
But the September one, yeah, you definitely want to be at that one.
all right. All right, is that it?
That's all for your part.
That's for me? Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Then an informational, we'll turn over to our building official for his report.
I don't have anything really new, it's just the same old, same old. So, nothing exciting.
Stuff still coming in?
It's trickling in. I expect it to get a whole lot worse here when they start talking about colder weathers. You know, people tend to get a little antsy when they start talking cold weather. So, next month or two, it'll get busy.
If the weather wouldn't have pushed as far west as it did today, your life would have gotten a little busier, but.
Yes. I've had that. You're the third person to tell me that.
Our next meeting is Monday, August 19th at 6 p.m. And it sounds like we probably will be having that meeting, correct? Pending a lot split for that night?
I haven't heard anything more on that.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
I had one question. Sorry to make it longer than it should be, but I'm just curious, on these test wells, those are on his property? Is that like, does he get reimbursed for that, or how does, I mean, we're-
They were put on the property when
Before you bought it.
Habitat of Humanity had it.
I see.
Then they had to approve.
Yes. They had to sign off for him to stay on there.
Thank you.
Yeah, because there's, what, 3 different properties in that area that have them?
1, 2, 3, 4 or 5.
Yeah,
One has
just
them,
working their way towards the soccer field in that direction.
Okay.
one has them, but you can't tell they're there because they asked to have bushes planted around them so you couldn't see them.
Nice.
I can think of 6 in that neighborhood
Running from there to the,
towards the soccer field.
okay.
Yeah. Most of them are in the boulevard. This one got a bunch of them because there was no house in it on the lot, you know. You can guess.
Say that one more time?
You can guess that this property got 3 wells because there wasn't a house on the lot.
Sure.
They're all at varying depths.
All right, then we'll adjourn our meeting.
All right.